how do you see the spin-offs coming into South Africa? You mentioned the benefits of gas. Do you see that as power plants? Do you see it as new industries? How do you see that coming? We're aware that government has got a planned gas to power program, which could be a multi-billion rand investment into the country by international developers and local investors. How do you see that playing out in the South African market?
Well, look, I mean, just to give you an example, the projects, the Coral LNG that was built was, in excess of a $30 billion project, right? CapEx. The one that's being looked at by Enadaco right now is also a magnanimous number. So I think, and there's just, we talk about political risk, we talk about, the region being extremely risky, etc. But, all of the internationals are still showing remarkable interest in the region and in these projects, right? The funders that are actually coming into these projects are not just local regional banks, but the big international commercial banks, DFIs, all showing interest here, right? So I think without any doubt or without any hesitation, what you will find is, new industry being created. Right? So if you look at from gas, you're looking at petrochemical plants. You're looking at, it would be silly to use gas purely for power generation. So if you look at the Middle East as an example, Saudi Arabia, they've actually moved away from using gas for, for power generation, although they have an abundance of gas, to actually using that for industrialization, where you can actually create jobs, create factories, and then you get the economy going again. So I think that's the future. I mean, we've got too many case examples of that elsewhere in the world, and I foresee that that's exactly what's going to happen. So certainly, there could be pipelines as well, right? Gas being piped. Although what you've got to remember is that the cost of a pipeline, takes into account a few things, right? So one, the cost is, directly proportional to the terrain and, the slopiness of the land, etc., the distance, the pressure, and all of that, which, and then what you don't want is a pipeline to become a stranded asset in time. So I think probably the low-hanging fruit for accessing gas for South Africa would be to LNG, right? So you've got these 3 plants that are planned, LNG plants that are planned in Mozambique. The easiest way is to, Mozambique's on the coast, to actually ship it to whichever port we actually deem necessary, whether it's Richards Bay, Akucha, or Saldanha. It's just pretty easy. But I think the spin-off effects from latching onto that gas are going to be huge for the region. And that's going to result in stability for the region. People don't have to keep running into South Africa. You're going to keep Mozambicans in Mozambique. They already have a staggering GDP at the moment, right? And, this is just going to culminate in them wanting to remain in their own home countries.